Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are finally back with an actual episode. It's been a fat minute. It's been probably almost a month now. But as the time of this recording, we're about 40 minutes past the trade deadline. A lot of craziness. A lot of craziness happened. A lot of big trades. I'm sure you all know about the James Harden deal. So we're going to talk about all the stuff that happened today and touch on a few that happened, like the Kings and Pacers trade and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll we'll start it off with the biggest trade of the deadline: James Harden for Ben Simmons. The specifics are the Sixers get Harden and Paul Millsap for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first rounders. Personally, I think the Nets are kind of the winner here. I think picking up Seth was a huge part of the deal. With that shooting, he's been having a great year. I think that'll add a huge element to the Nets team. And I'm still a believer in Ben Simmons. The Sixers finally got a deal done. And I think Ben will be really good. It'll be interesting to see how he plays with KD and Kyrie. But I think both teams it's a win-win. But I think the Nets honestly got a lot better than they were before.
Yeah, that was kind of I didn't expect it. It kind of happened, really late into in the day and really close to the deadline. Something that we've even mentioned on this podcast before is the Nets need depth, and that's literally exactly what they did. Getting Seth was big. Getting Drummond was big. And I mean, we've already said that Simmons is still, you know, a good player defensively, and he really is a good player scoring in the paint. And I'm really, I think every NBA fan is excited to see how this is going to work out. And the Sixers, I still think that they lost a trade, but you still get Harden, you still pair him up with Embiid. It's like a really good duo, and I'm really excited to see how that one's going to work out. Just to see like a motivated Harden again playing and trying to win a championship.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Harden and Embiid work off each other because
Mm-hmm.
obviously Embiid can score at every single level. And Harden hasn't been good off the ball, which is also something to look out for. See if Doc can maybe get him involved with some off ball stuff. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And then the Nets have a lot of shooting. They have Seth. Joe Harris is eventually going to come back. Yeah, Patty Mills as well. So I think for both teams, obviously, it's a win-win. But if this trade doesn't work out for the Sixers, it's going to look very bad,
Yeah.
especially for Daryl Morey to go get Harden twice and try to get him something, get a ring, and it didn't work out. And now they're trying again. And if it doesn't work out, I think it's going to look very bad. But do you view the Sixers as a contender right now?
Yeah, I'll put him as a contender. I mean, it's just like this league's talent driven, and when you have one of the best bigs and one of the best guards, I got to put him as a contender. Their depth still isn't like really bad. I think their roster's like decent. But yeah, I still view him as a contender. I still have like the Bucks and like the Nets. I would probably put that. I am really excited for this Nets team. I don't know if I'll put them over him yet, but I put them kind of equal. Uh, yeah, I'd still put them as a contender. They're like in the top three in the East.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I want to see both of these teams pretty bad. I want to see how Ben performs and how Harden
Mm-hmm.
performs as well. But they play the Nets and Sixers in Philly on March 10th. That's going to be a really, really great game to watch. Especially
Yeah,
Ben should be back by then, but
he should be,
I
but
wouldn't be surprised if he's ducking that game because those Philly fans are going to be absolutely ruthless. But
oh
yeah,
my god.
really big trade. It's going to be interesting to see how they both pan out and especially see these two players in different uniforms. But I want to transition to this is my opinion, probably the worst trade of the deadline, and it's Kristaps Porzingis getting traded for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans, and the Mavs gave up a second with Kristaps as well. This move just makes zero sense to me. I think Mark Stein reported that the Mavs were on the phones all day trying to find a deal for Kristaps, but I find it very hard to believe that no one wants to up a Dinwiddie and Bertans package. You have two underperforming players, huge contracts, and you trade Kristaps for him. Now, I would assume Luka had a say in this, but I don't know if you really want to give up Dinwiddie or give a Kristaps for Dinwiddie and Bertans. That just makes zero sense to me. But the Wizards get a real nice piece with Beal being out. It gives Wizard fans something to at least cheer about. But then again, I think Kristaps is hurt right now, so who knows how long he's going to be out. But even though he's pretty injury prone, I still think you could have gotten a lot more for Kristaps. Well, maybe not a lot more, but more decent role players for Kristaps, or at least hold on to him until his contract runs out.
Yeah, it just like confuses me because like maybe I'm wrong, but like they just don't off the top of my head. Like I just like who else is like they're big? Like who do they really have? I mean, in my opinion, like as you know, obviously like you know, there's locker room. There's like you know, how you like your teammates, and Luka's obviously the star. So I mean, if he didn't like him, like obviously he wanted him gone, but like still as a front office, like it just I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like that just it just doesn't for Bertans. Like wow, that is that's insane. Like Dinwiddie, like yeah, I'll like okay, but like the second piece you get is Bertans, and like come on, let's be honest here. Like Porzingis isn't like as good as he was like before he got injured and all that, but he's still a guy who can put up numbers. So I mean, that was definitely one of the weirdest trades I saw. It just didn't really make sense to me in the slightest. And yeah, I mean, I guess you know the Wizards kind of got him for free. I mean, cool for them, good for them, but I don't know. I don't know what the Mavericks are doing here. That just was a really bad trade. That honestly, in my opinion, kind of makes the team a little worse.
Yeah. Right now, your big, or at least your starting big, I would think, is Dwight Powell, which I mean, I guess is okay. And then your backup, you either have Marquise Chris or Boban. That's about it. So obviously, big man depth is not looking very good right now. And Kristaps still has 3 years on his deal, making 31 this year, 33 next, and 36 in his last year of his deal, which is obviously a huge amount of money for Kristaps. But still would have liked to see him hold on to him or at least get something better. But it is what it is. We had a 4-team trade as well involving the Pistons, Kings, Bucks, and Clippers. Marvin Bagley finally out of Sacramento. Felt like forever they were wanting out. He goes to a rebuilding Pistons team, which I think will be a good fit. The Kings get more pieces. They get Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Jackson, and Trey Lyles. The Bucks get Serge Ibaka, 2 seconds in cash, and the Clippers get basically scraps with Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye. It's just I feel like obviously the Bucks come out here on top, getting the center depth that they needed, and Serge is obviously going to provide that. No one knows how long Brook is out. He's been out forever now. But yeah. Kings get Dante DiVincenzo. He's on the last year of his deal. Obviously, the Bucks didn't want to pay him, so that's why they moved off of him. Nobody really knows what Dante's market's going to be, so that's going to be interesting to see how much he gets paid. He's going to be a restricted free agent, so we'll see if the Kings want to hold on to him long term. But also Marvin Bagley, we haven't really seen too much of him since he got drafted as the second pick to the Kings. Hoping the Pistons is a good place for him. You get to play alongside Cade and Sadiq Bey and those guys. And hopefully he can show something or some sort of potential since he was such a high lottery pick. But yeah, let's hope Bagley can actually pan out and Bucks add on to their already really good team.
Yeah, the Bucks made a good move here. You pretty much already said it. Like Brooks been dead for who knows how long, and you need center depth, and you just go and get Surge, and we know he's a really good player, really good guy who like hustles and all that. The Bagley to the Pistons is something that like it's probably the best case scenario for him. Like this guy has been rotting on the bench in Sacramento, complaining for like how long now, and he finally gets his chance to like show why he was the number 2 overall pick a couple years ago. Um, you know, I think it's really good to pair him up with a lot of young talent there in Detroit, and hopefully it works out. I always like to cheer for these really bad teams. Hopefully, like their young players could work out. So hopefully, that core gets to work. Nothing to really say about the Clippers. I mean, they got, Rodney Hood. That's cool. And then Dante going to the Kings. It's the Kings honestly like have kind of been like it's not it's not bad. It's not terrible. Trey Lyles and Josh Jackson. I mean, it's I guess a little bit of depth. But I would assume depending on what he gets offered, I assume that Dante would want to leave after this year. But from knowing the Kings will like let him stay there and rot. But yeah, Bucks really good move. Pistons just getting more young talent on the team, which is great. So yeah, definitely a really good 4 team for half the teams there.
Yeah, staying with the Kings, I watched Sabonis's debut game yesterday, and honestly, it looked pretty good. Their passing was really good, and they used Sabonis pretty well. But Rashawn Holmes barely got any minutes at all, so I'm kind of interested to see how that pans out. He only got 12 minutes, and he came off the bench, which was interesting. And obviously, moving off Tyrese, which I thought was a pretty bad deal for the Kings. I would honestly pick Halliburton over Fox, but their offense looked pretty fluid. Sabonis has always been a good passer. Their offense was nice and spaced out, but obviously their defense is still not good. But it'll be interesting to see. They're trying. I think they're trying to push for a playing spot. I think that's kind of where they're content. At least show their fans that, hey, we're trying to get into a playing spot, guys. Look, right now the Kings are, let's see, they're 2.5 out of the 10th spot. I mean, it's definitely doable, but yeah, the Kings are gonna be interesting, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
And now, going on to another kind of surprising trade. The Hornets trading for Montrezl Harrell for Vernon Carey Jr. and Ish Smith. When initially I got this notification, I was kind of hoping the Hornets would get a bigger body of a center, like a Miles Turner. I thought was just the ideal fit. But I mean, you're getting Montrez for Vernon Carey, who doesn't even play, and Ish Smith, who's legit a minimum player, and he's on another team every single year. So, I mean, I would definitely take that. I guess Montrez is more flexible and can play at a higher pace with the Hornets, but still think it's a good deal for the price that they got him for. But honestly, I would have really liked a bigger body center for the Hornets, but I guess Trez will have to do for now.
Yeah, everyone's known that the Hornets have just needed a center, and I mean Montrez is a bad center per se, but like he's one of the shorter ones that will get kind of destroyed by like the bigger centers like Joel and like other names like that, and it's just it's a good trade for like what they gave away, but Hornets fans definitely were praying for like a Miles Turner. And it just, I mean, Trez is still really good, but his defense just isn't as good as you like it to be. Obviously, just because he's on the shorter end. But yeah, I think it's still a good trade. Hornets kind of got what they needed. Obviously, just would have wanted him to be a little bit taller, but it still works out for them, I think.
And now, kind of moving on to an interesting trade. The Celtics traded Dennis Schroeder, Ennis Freedom, and Bruno Fernando to the Rockets for Daniel Tice. Another interesting one. It was kind of like a buzzer beater trade. Dennis, I don't imagine, is staying in Houston. I believe he'll get bought out, or at least I would think he'd get bought out. And it'll be interesting to see who pursues him. But Tice back on the Celtics, which is interesting. But I'm kind of more interested to see where Dennis is going to go. And people are saying, or at least I saw there were rumors that the Lakers wanted him. I mean, my unbiased opinion, I think we need Dennis, at least for backup role. But, yeah, that's just a great trade for Rockets and Celtics.
It's like, it was just, I don't know, like, that trade's just so, like, mediocre. It's just like, okay, like, cool, that happened. I just feel bad for Dennis, dude. This guy just, like, gets screwed out on a big contract, and then goes to Houston, or goes to Boston, and then basically goes to Houston for about nothing. I mean, he'll get bought out. I hope he gets bought out, or I think he's going to lose his mind. The Lakers definitely do need him. I haven't like paid attention to many teams around the league recently, but don't worry, I've seen the Lakers struggles. It's really embarrassing. It's just it's just amazing. So if he can get bought out and the Lakers somehow get him, I'd be happy to welcome Dennis back with open arms.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how fans would react with Dennis coming back. But I don't even know if Dennis does want to come back.
He probably doesn't want to come back. He sees what's happening right now.
Like, team's god awful, but then again, he has the meme of declining a $20 million, 2-3 year extension.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he wants to come back to LA and face that crowd, but hey, we all make mistakes, Dennis. It's okay. But kind of going off the Lakers, obviously did not make a trade today, which was an interesting decision. All day, people were kind of wondering if the Lakers were doing anything. This morning, there were rumors of a Lakers, Raptors, Knicks 3-team trade. The Lakers would have gotten Cam Reddish, Alec Burks. The Raptors would have gotten THT, Nerlens Noel, and the Knicks would have gotten Goran Dragic and draft compensation. Reflecting on this trade now, if it was even out there, I would have loved Cam Reddish and Alec Burks for THT. I think you get two good players. I think Alec Burks has maybe 2 years left on his deal. But then again, Alec Burks is still a pretty decent player. And Cam Reddish, at this stage, I'm honestly taking Cam Reddish over THT. I don't really think that's kind of a hot take at all. I think Cam Reddish is better suited for this Laker team. Obviously, doesn't need the ball in his hands. He can be more of a catch-and-shoot guy and obviously better on defense than THT. But, man, I would have loved for this trade to happen. To move off THT and get two pretty solid players would have been amazing. But it's Rob. Rob doesn't like that, I guess.
Rob pisses me off every trade deadline. Because, he knows we need to do something because this is usually at the time where the Lakers are falling apart with, since LeBron's gotten there, and he just doesn't do shit. To get Cam and, Burks, that would have been, that would have been amazing. And, now we're just left here, getting the scraps on the buyout market is just, it is so disappointing as a Lakers fan. It's just, it's actually just comedy watching. It really has been this year. Just watching this team fall apart, just watching, this quote-unquote big three compete every night. It's fine. This trade would have been an absolute win in my book. Something that I would have done on a heartbeat. THT is just not for this team. It's okay. I mean, what else do I expect? But, yeah.
God, man. But I think the last trade at the deadline that we made was the infamous Mike Muscala one for Ivica Zubac when was that when Magic was still there, but
just remember this is funny. We were in class and I saw the notification and you instantly turned around and looked at me and just shook your head in disappointment. It was so funny. Oh my god,
we're watching a movie in our sociology class, and it was a trade deadline, so I had my phone on low brightness and I was just staring at my phone waiting for notification, and I see Lakers trade Ivica Zubac for Mike Muscala. I straight face my phone, I turn around, look at Daniel just with pure disappointment and straight facing.
So amazing that we made that trade.
And yeah,
that's what Magic thought would save us that year.
We needed shooting, and Mike Muscala is a pretty nice shooter. Am I right?
Fucking shit.
Kind of something that also got. This is a guy I never trust really, but Brian Windhorst, according to him, he says, I find this very hard to believe, but he said the Rockets had a deal on the table with the Lakers involving Westbrook, THT, and the 2027 first rounder for John Wall and Christian Wood. Now, if that trade was on the table, I'm taking that. John Wall and Westbrook are basically neutral, but you get Christian Wood, yes, but you give up another first rounder. I don't care. It's Christian Wood and John Wall. But I find that very hard to believe that the Rockets would give up Christian Wood like that. But, man, if we got that, I would have taken that all day, every day.
Now, I'm with you. I don't really trust Mr. Windhorst. He's very interesting with what he reports. But, again, what the hell is Rob doing if that's on the table? What? What is the hesitation there? You, John Wall and Christian Wood, you can welcome with open arms, and you say no? For what? What was the first round pick? 2027, you said?
Yeah.
We're useless when it comes to first rounders. Dude, we're in win now mode. There's no way we didn't take that. Holy shit, dude! If you probably thought THT was better than Christian Wood. Oh my god!
Well,
I just heard that. Wow, there's no way we didn't take that.
Well,
it's fine, Laker Nation. We can all cry.
Lakers, unfortunately, are staying packed for the rest of the year. Honestly,
unfortunately,
it gives me depression because I'm honestly kind of checked out of this team already.
Making the playoffs.
Portland, that's all I need to say. But we're gonna get in the play-in.
3-7 in the last 10.
Hopefully we lose. I honestly pray to God we lose in the play-in so it can get over with, so I can stop watching this team, and we can just turn a new leaf in the summer.
It's a miracle if we make the play-in.
But yeah, that's our little Laker ramble. But
as usual,
those are kind of the big trades that are kind of worth talking about. I mean, you had the Derrick White for Josh Richardson trade, which I think was a pretty good steal for the Celtics. Derrick White's obviously a really good player, and Josh Richardson is nothing really to you with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown there. All you had to give up was Richardson in the first for Derrick White. I'll take that. You had Torrey Craig for Jalen Smith, which for the Pacers is good. You're rebuilding, obviously, and Jalen Smith has shown potential in limited playing time. And Torrey Craig back to the Suns. He was good when he was with the Suns there. Suns also got Aaron Holiday from the Wizards. Don't exactly know what the Wizards or what the Suns gave up for him. I haven't really seen what came out about that. But that was about it for the trades for today. Oh, yeah. And then Goran Dragic and a first for the Spurs in exchange for Thad Young and Drew Eubanks in a second. Raptors get a really good player in Thad Young. We're kind of expecting him to get traded. I kind of would have liked him to go to the Suns. I thought that would have been a really good landing spot for him. But now, kind of on the other days, we had the Tyrese for Sabonis trade, which I honestly view it as a bad trade. Giving up Tyrese and Buddy, I thought was pretty big. For Sabonis, I thought that was a little of an overpay, but I mean, you get Sabonis, which can help you now. You get Jeremy Lamb, who's basically a rental. I don't think he's going to stay there long term. And then you got Justin Holiday for, I think, 2 more years, and you get a second. But honestly, I'm not a fan of this trade. What do you think?
I think, I mean, the Pacers are just another like team that just make me like question just like what they're doing. Um, I mean, I don't know. Just I don't give them away Sabonis and like I mean, yeah, you got Tyrese. I like that, but I don't know. I feel like they could have gotten a little bit more for Sabonis, in my opinion. Just like a little bit more. I think it works out for the Kings a little bit. I mean, you still have De'Aaron there, and other pieces, but I think it's just kind of like neutral for both teams, to be honest, because I see how it works for both teams. I don't think there's like a huge winner. Um, yeah, that was my like original thought when I saw it. Uh, but yeah, I kind of just like Sabonis getting a new like scenery, but obviously like he definitely probably don't want to go to the Kings, but um, yeah, it's just I don't know. I kind of just viewed it as like they both kind of won in their own way. Obviously, like giving up Buddy, Tyrese, and all that, that's a lot. But, that was kind of my first reaction off of it.
Yeah, and I also kind of think about what they're going to do with Brogdon once he becomes tradable. Obviously, signing an extension recently made him not tradable, but I'm interested to see how they handle Brogdon in the future as well. And then, kind of the last trade we have to talk about is the CJ McCollum trade. Another interesting trade for the Blazers. I'm sure you all know the package by now, but it was CJ to the Pelicans and Larry Nance and Tony Snell for Josh Hart, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Thomas Satoransky, and draft compensation. But Nickeil got traded away to the Jazz, and then Thomas Satoransky got traded to the Spurs, I believe. So obviously not much left from that trade, but obviously not a lot for CJ. But I think for the Pelicans, it works out. You get another scoring punch and a veteran that you needed. Now you just got to see what this team looks like when Zion, if he ever comes back. But I think on paper, this team could be pretty good. Devontae and CJ is a little questionable because both undersized and not good at defense. But BI, Zion, and Valanciunas, I think that could be pretty solid. And honestly, they can make some noise if they get into that, if they maintain the playing spot.
Yeah, this is definitely a good trade from the Pelicans. I love CJ and the Trailblazers. I think it just works out. Whenever Zion gets back, I'd love to see how this roster looks. I can't believe that the Trailblazers aren't blowing it up yet because I saw a report saying that they're going to try to rebuild it around Dame, and I don't know what they're doing. To be honest, it's amazing to me. But yeah, they're a very interesting team.
Yeah, I believe with all the trades they've done, they have like $60 million in cap space, and I don't think that means jack because I think this upcoming free agency class is pretty weak. But James Harden and Kyrie were the two big ones. But obviously James opted into his second year of the deal, so he's going to be in Philly for at least 2 years. And then Kyrie, there's just simply no way he goes to Portland. And I think Zach LaVine was a free agent too, but there's no way he's going to Portland either. So I've heard that you're probably going to have to overpay on a restricted guy and try to make a team not match. I've heard DeAndre Ayton when he's a free agent, but I just don't think.
Just blow it up.
I just don't think the Suns are going to just let him walk. So Portland's in a very interesting situation. I think we said
Wait,
this.
didn't they traded away Norman Powell too, right? Like I'm not
Yeah.
forgot about that one. What was it for?
It was Robert Covington and Powell for Justice Winslow, Eric Bledsoe, and Keon Johnson. And then I think
This front office is so shit.
And then a second pick to Portland as well, I believe. But they gave up. I think they gave up 2 first rounders for Robert Covington, and I think they gave up 1 for Norman Powell when they traded him for Gary Trent.
Wow.
But yeah, obviously giving up a lot of first rounders to get what you had and then give them away for seconds obviously isn't ideal. But that's honestly what you get for waiting so long to do something. Because I think if you trade CJ last year when he was averaging like 27 and before he got injured, I think you would have gotten a lot more value. But hey, it is what it is. But Dame, for the love of God, if they don't do anything this summer, you have to move on, dude. Because there's just no players that are probably going to be willing to go there, at least for star caliber. And because there's not a lot of assets that Portland can flip to get a star. So, yeah, Portland. It will be interesting to keep an eye on.
Portland is I've said it before. I just don't get what's like it's loyalty, I guess, but just get rid of him, man. Like you're not gonna win. It's fine. Just let him try to rebuild the roster around him. I can't wait to see what they come up with.
Yeah, he didn't run from the grind though, so it doesn't. So it's fun.
The fucking grind, dude. Okay,
I think that's kind of all the necessary trades we needed to talk about, but pretty entertaining trade deadline. Obviously, James Harden and Ben Simmons highlighting it all, but a lot of other minor trades for teams, and it'll be interesting to see how this pans out for everyone throughout the year. March 10th, mark your calendars, Ben Simmons versus James Harden, back to Philly, which will be a great matchup. I hope Ben plays. He should, but you never know. But yeah, I think that will kind of do it for this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, put the Instagram in the description below, so make sure to go follow that. And yeah, it's been a pleasure getting back in the saddle after a long time. But take care. See you next time.
have a great day.